Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. It is me, the guy who said meltdown when I meant core suppression and made many commenters very angry at me. Today we have Netzach's core suppression. That's right, I'm learning. Obviously, I'm just being sassy for the sake of it. I am very aware that I messed up saying that term, and that's not what that is, but it just made me laugh that so many people were like, hey, no! So I'm just playing off of it. Anyway, this is obviously Netzach's core suppression. This is the first time I've seen a song that wasn't from Tilarids. This is Dan Farley has the first song in these two that I'll be listening to today. And whenever that happens to me, and I guess I'll find out very soon since I'm listening to his first. So without further ado, let's go. Very short too. I feel like I'm turning on my Windows 98 PC. No, the atmosphere that this is just an atmospheric song. Just drones. That's really cool. I don't think I've heard that yet. Not from this game. Really beefy chords there too. What a neat approach. Ooh. I like how that one got distorted there at the end. It almost sounds like an organ played in reverse in some points. It might be. That one kind of felt like an 80s fantasy movie, like in the background of some insane scape in front of you. Just a gigantic empty field and the main character standing on a cliffside with the wind blowing in their hair. Some weird puppet side character from Jim Henson's Creature Shop right next to him. Like, that was such a cool energy to give. I am actually struggling to figure out what exactly that means for the character. It just feels like what I said. It feels like there's a giant field in front of you, basically an open blank slate that has yet to be properly built into anything. And maybe that's the main character in this position's job. Maybe that's their goal. Maybe that grand adventure is something that they're striving for, and what the end may be exactly that, the final page in that chapter. And it's a lot to process because I have so little information on exactly what's happening with this scene because it is so short, and it's just giving me those very specific 80s fantasy vibes. So that, mixed with my mention of it sounding like turning on a Windows 98, is like very accurate as well. They used to use a lot of those like chord built swells in on sounds back in the day. I sound old when I say that, but I'm not even 30 yet. What am I talking about? Either way, it's still like that sound. I've always loved that retro aesthetic, and this feels very vaporwavy. I guess that's the best way to put it. That puts it right in that window of like retro gaming and 80s fantasy. It's like all in that same pocket. So that's what I'm getting out of this one. And while there's not a lot of information for me to be able to build a character out of this one, maybe the next song will help me kind of piece together the missing chunks that I have yet to find. So I guess we should listen to that one, which is another one by Tilarids, Big Shocker. Ooh. Okay. Definitely more atmosphere. Might be more melodic though. It's a different type of atmosphere for sure. Yeah, this feels completely different. Interesting. This happened with the last songs too, where the two that were supposedly related had completely different energies. Also, I kind of vibe with this whole screenshot. It's just me. Ooh. Oh, this is an interesting progression. This actually gives me a lot of info. That's very helpful. I'll explain why, don't worry. So much more information in this one. It's still very short, all things considered. I love this more industrial inspired kind of percussion on there as well. Heavily static, like snare. Almost sounds like steam escaping. Lots of cool little characteristic things. That one bass line from earlier is still stuck in my head, though. Ooh. Interesting way to, like, lift and leave it out, too. Weird ending on that one, but I definitely got more information out of this one for sure. So to start off with that bass line I mentioned, that gave me the most information for one particular reason, and that being the distance it dropped from and where it went back to. So what that gives me is kind of the description that this character is constantly in a downward motion. You can always say, well, they're going back up, right? That should be the opposite effect. It's like, sure, but the way that distance happens, that's like a 2, maybe 3. I can't quite tell. I didn't play it on the piano to mess with it, but there's more than 1 octave of sound difference there. So that means the character's constantly dropping down these huge holes of probably depression. I would figure that seems to be pretty common in these games overall, that like pessimistic viewpoint is pretty prolific in this game. But overall, as far as this sound goes, this is the most depressed motherfucker I've seen in these games, I think, so far. Just having that drop, and yes, going back up, there is a lift of hope there, but it goes back down again in almost the same interval as the first one. So the character themselves is never picking themselves back up. Maybe there's just an overall energy in the space that maybe they've built themselves that holds them up just enough to not give in. But as far as they're concerned, they're down there. And I am aware that, at least I've been told, that Tilarids did not make these songs specifically for the game and that they've been repurposed to the game, and that means that they usually have to write the characters roughly around what the song that they want to use is, or at very least pick and choose from a library of pre-existing ones what fits the best. So if Tilarids made a song that feels very depressive and mood is very dragged down, of course you're going to pick that. Something that's very industrial like this would be perfect for that. Something that has a lot of those sadder tones and notes in there, a lot of that atmosphere that just feels so oppressive, like a gas in a room that you just cannot escape. And that is kind of what the mind feels like when you're clouded with things like depression, for example. So it all fits really well. So picking songs so close like this is also telling of the game creators for being able to do that and be like, here's what we need from the song or from the character to match with the other, and just make that work with an existing library. Again, I'm not positive that the whole Tilarids not making music for these games is exactly how that goes. I don't know what their relationship is, but if that is the case, it just means that the producers of the game really do know their characters that well and truly feel these characters' emotions out and make sure that they are matched as close as they can with the library that they're given. And now with this song, it kind of gives me the feeling that the first song might have been the second song. Basically, maybe that was the piece at the end. It felt like a soul being let go compared to this. It felt like somebody who has finally been released from their shackles in a very dark way, of course. And it's just like, okay, this one is the depression right before the fall, whereas the other song that I listened to is very much more of the finally, that last breath, maybe just a twinge of peace in there somewhere. It felt much different than this. And having those huge emotional shifts between these two songs makes me feel like, again, like I said with the last one a little bit, they're not necessarily the same sound, but that doesn't necessarily mean they can't be from the same story. It can just mean that they're different parts of their journey. So I feel like one of them is during and one of them is after. And in this case, I think that this one would be playing during whatever the core suppression is, and the other one is kind of the aftermath song. I could be wrong there. Obviously, I never know this stuff, but that's what I would place them as. Contextually, that makes the most sense to me, but that could also just be my brain saying, well, you got more information out of this one, so maybe that's the main one, but that might not always be the case. Either way, we have two beautiful songs here. Dan Farley's first appearance to my knowledge, and that was amazing. The atmosphere in there might be outdoing Tilarids in some ways, albeit I don't really have as large of a sample pool as I do with Tilarids music, so I'm not sure if that's the case, but Tilarids is always doing great, so I can only imagine in order to match that, you have to have somebody who's equally skilled in the same field. Otherwise, you'll get this really weird clashing happening between the themes and tones you're going for, even if they are made before the actual characters were designed or whatever, and however that works. You have to find people who write music similarly in order to make all of this kind of gel together into a nice little package for the viewers, the players, the experiencers of this world to be able to piece together that story so cohesively. So just brilliant work from these two, another great set of songs, and I know that both of these were fairly short, so I wanted to, of course, throw them together so I didn't just do one and be like, oh man, it's only a minute long. I guess here's a 4-minute video. So ones like this, similar to how I do the Blue Archive ones, if there are two shorter songs, I will try to do them back to back and give my opinions of each as we go through. So if you like that format, please let me know. And if you have any other songs you want me to get to, please let me know down in the comments below. And of course, I will do my best to get to them as always. And if you like this video and you want to follow me and support me for more in the future, you know how to do all that. And I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!